Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. So this week we're not doing a ranking video. Last week we also didn't release a ranking video. This week we're going to talk a little bit about why that is, what happened here last week, and I promise we are going to get back to the ranking videos, but I just want to provide a little more context and kind of the not so fun side of chicken keeping. So hopefully we can provide some information about what happened here, maybe keep some of your chickens safe, and just tell you a little bit about what happened, what we did to prevent the same thing happening in the future, what's worked for us, what hasn't worked for us. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into what we actually came here for, what you clicked on the video for. So those of you that have been around know that we have 27 chickens. Well, we had 27 chickens and we were doing a ranking video of all 27 of them. So last week we actually lost 3 of them in one night. It was all of our silkie hens. So it was our cuckoo silkie, figgy pudding, it was Velma, our buff silkie, and Dorothea, our splash silkie. So we're down to 24 chickens, which unfortunately now makes our series down to 23 weeks since we have 2 repeating. But anyway, series aside, I want to talk a little about what happened to them, how we even knew about it, how we figured it out, how we figured out what the predator was, what we're now doing to try to keep everybody else safe, and really just talk about it and share the real side of chicken keeping, the not so fun side. So let's talk about it. So like I said, it was all 3 of our silkie hens, and it happened last week, and ever since then we've been kind of reeling, which is why we didn't release a video last week, because that was right around the time that I filmed for the week, edited for the week, and would have put a video up. And this week we've had about a week, a little over a week, to try to come to terms with that we have 24 chickens now, and that we've been trying to keep them safe and figure out everything we can do. So that's why I'm releasing a video this week, and next week we'll get back to the rankings. But it was all 3 of our silkie hens, and it happened in, I'll say the middle of the night, but it was like 4 a.m. I mean, it's middle of us sleeping, so it might as well be middle of the night. About 4 a.m. though, woke up because we heard the chickens first, and then we checked our cameras, which this is one thing I'll say is a positive thing, and I do highly recommend everyone that owns chickens or is going to get chickens, invest in some nice wireless cameras. So ours work with Wi-Fi. Our house is right there, so it's really not that far, so it just hooks on our normal Wi-Fi, but you can also buy Wi-Fi extenders and things like that if you're a little further out, or I know Starlink's a new thing if you're able to get that. But nice wireless cameras. We have one there in the back corner, so one in each run, and basically that one covers all of this new section. The one back there covers all of the old section, and then we also have one in each coop. So I'll show, there's one in that back corner. It's kind of dark, but one in the back corner, and there's one also in this coop. So we have one covering every angle at night, and during the day too. But that's a really nice thing. These are Wyze, W-Y-Z-E, I think is how you spell it. But they have an app, and so you can just go onto your phone with the app and check the cameras all the time. It's super convenient for the chickens anytime you hear a noise or anything like that. So that is a thing that I do recommend, and it worked really well for us, and is actually the reason why we knew exactly what was attacking our chickens. So we woke up in the middle of the night, heard the chickens, like I said, around 4 a.m., and then checked the cameras and could actually see a mink inside of this chicken run and actively trying to attack the chickens. And so this is our first experience with a mink. This is the first experience with a successful predator and with our chickens. And I'll say successful because we've had other encounters, once with a hawk, which our chickens actually fought off, and then I had to actually rescue the hawk from our chickens because they were beating it up so bad. And then the second would be a coyote, which our chickens were locked up in this chicken run, and the coyote came right behind where our dogs were sitting right there and was up at this fence line trying to figure out how to get in, but it would have had to get through the fence and then would have had to get in through this actual run. And luckily I work during the days right out that window right there, which gives me a nice view of the chicken yard. So I heard the girls inside of the run making a bunch of noise and was able to look out and notice the coyote sitting right here. And I ran out and scared it away before anything happened. But like I said, nothing, I don't think it would have had to hop the fence, which isn't a problem for a coyote, but then they were completely locked up in here. So then we had to try to figure out how to get through all this hardware cloth, which probably wouldn't happen. But anyway, so once with the hawk, once with the coyote, not successful. And so this is the first time it was actually successful. And what happened was, and like I said, first experience with a predator successful, but also first experience with a mink in general. Didn't really know much about them until we went through this and had to do a bunch of research. I'll share a little bit about what we found out. But essentially, we built this run, what we thought was really, really secure and over the top. Like, we spent way too much money. I think probably over $2,000 in just materials. We built this all ourselves. So like all the roofing, all the supports, all this hardware cloth from floor to ceiling, and then we have a skirt that goes 3 feet out of hardware cloth as well. So that's just like over $2,000 just in materials, and then the amount of time we spent on this was insane. A lot of hours trying to make it as secure as we possibly could and thought was impenetrable to predators. And yeah, so a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy making it over the top. We didn't want to spare really any expense because all of our chickens are pets to us, so we wanted to make sure that they were super safe. So we put hardware cloth everywhere. So this is super high gauge and it's coated with a black coating, keep it from rusting and degrading. And when we built this in 2 parts. So this is the new section, and then there's the original older section here. And in the new section, we used 1/4-inch hardware cloth top to bottom. And it's a little more expensive because the holes are smaller. You can see, like, here's my hand. You can see how small they are. Nothing, like, I can't even fit a finger through here. So we used that top to bottom, and it's a little more expensive. And in the old run, we opted for, because this is when we first got chickens and we're expanding, this is 1 inch. So you can see finger can fit through here. And so we thought it was super safe. And it was hardware cloth instead of chicken wire. So we knew that predators couldn't rip through it. But then after we put up the 1 inch hardware cloth, we thought about and learned about like raccoons being able to reach through and grab chickens. So then we were worried, like, if a chicken's up against this wall here, a raccoon could reach through, put its little hand through the 1 inch. So then we did 1/4-inch 3 feet up from the 1 inch in order to prevent that. And we were like, oh, super secure. It's double layered at the bottom. Up at the top doesn't really matter. It's going to keep out any predators that we had. And this is where I'll make a note. You should, if you are thinking about getting chickens or you're building an enclosure for chickens, you should check where you live every single predator that's around. And I'm saying this because at the time, up until now, we're not really thinking about mink. What we were thinking about is coyotes, foxes, raccoons, possums, Yeah, all owls, hawks, things like that. So we were building this with all that in mind. We do have black bear around here, but there's pretty much nothing you can do about black bear. If they really want to get in, they're going to rip through pretty much anything. But all the normal predators, we had that in mind. Like, nothing's going to be able to rip through this hardware cloth or is small enough to fit through this hardware cloth other than a hand, not a full body. So we did that, thought it was super secure. And over the course of 3 years, the only thing that we've ever found in here, whether on the camera or seen with our own eyes, are mice, which mice are pretty much impossible to keep out of anything. I mean, they have a food source in here, water source in here, and they could fit through the 1/4 inch. Like, it's amazing. Again, until you get chickens, you don't really know or think to look up that mice can fit through something the size of like a tip of a pencil. So it's pretty impossible. They're going to find a crack anywhere, which mice, fine. Chickens will eat mice if they can catch them. Not going to harm anything. You might lose some chicken food to them, but it's not going to hurt a chicken. So that was fine. And then this is where we started to run into problems foreshadowing down the road. Now we understand is a bigger problem than we thought, and that was rats. So I'll show a little bit later, but essentially right behind, you can't see it now because we have the tarps up for winter, but right around behind here, when we moved into this house 4 or 5 years ago, there was a groundhog nest here, and I might as well show it so that I don't have to remember later. But this is right down the back of the chicken yard. There is where a groundhog used to live, right down here. And you can see there's a hole going down, this big rock here, and so this is the side of a hill. So there's some roots here where it used to come in at, and then leave over here as well. Long story short, there's not a groundhog there anymore. Whether that's because we moved in and dogs chase it off, or our dogs one time did kill a groundhog, and I don't know if it was the same groundhog because there's a lot around here. But essentially, used to live here. There was a whole tunnel system from a groundhog, size of a groundhog. Groundhog no longer lived here, so then add old groundhog den with now chicken setup, chicken food, water, all that. Here comes rats, live in this old groundhog system. And he said, here's the run, here's where the groundhog used to live. So then the rats started tunneling from here. They would come out, and you can see, example here, there's a tunnel. Might be hard to see, but there's a tunnel here, and would tunnel into the chicken run. And the reason that's a problem is that, like I was saying, we added this hardware cloth at the bottom. We put a skirt. So some people dig down and add hardware cloth, which is a better option. But if you can't dig down, which is what we ran into, our soil is super, super rocky. So every time you try to dig, you're hitting rocks, and it's a pain in the neck. So in order to dig around the entire run that we built, it would have taken so long, and it already took us long enough just to be able to dig down to put our posts in for the corner. So we opted to do the other alternative, which is at a skirt. So where the bottom of the run starts, it comes out 3 feet from there, the reason that works is a predator like a coyote or something like that. It's going to come over here, try to dig, run into the metal, realize it can't dig into the run. It's going to be too hard. The problem with a skirt like this is when you run into something like a rat. So you can see what they were doing is the skirt ends here, they would come to the end of the skirt, go underneath it, start these tunnels into the run. So basically they were bypassing the skirt, tunneling into the run, causing issues. Again, at the time, we just think it's rats, they're not going to hurt the chickens. Let's do everything we can to try to get rid of the rats. Let's try to trap them, kill them, whatever, get rid of them. But again, it wasn't a huge issue because they're not going to hurt chickens. And So we've done our best over the time to trap them, set up traps all over the place. And we were actually successful with a lot of them. We'd actually come out here, got a couple of them, because what happens is, if you've ever dealt with rats, especially around a food source like chickens, when they first come, they are fast, thin rats, hard to catch. As time goes on, they turn into fat, slow rats, much easier to catch. And when they first come out, they're scared of people because, like I said, house is right there, so they would hear the noise of us all the time. And when they first came out, they would run by the time that we hit the door to try to come out here, because we would see them on the camera, let's go get those rats. By the time we hit the door, they're gone. And then as time goes by, they become fat, lazy, slow, and used to us. We could get all the way in the run and be staring at it. And so before it even did anything, and they're slow. So I got a couple with a shovel. Anyway, that's an aside. The reason I'm telling you all this is, like I was explaining with the skirt, they would go outside the skirt, dig underneath, and then dig into the run, bypassing basically our security system on the ground of being able to keep stuff from digging, because something like a coyote or fox or something wants to dig as close as possible because they're big, so they don't want to dig 4 feet out and then have to tunnel all the way in. It's way too much work for them. They'd go find an easier meal. They've gone to squirrel or a rabbit or something. But a rat, they have all the time in the world. They know this huge food source here, exactly what they want to eat, the same thing the chickens want to eat. So they'll spend a couple nights, starting from 4 feet out, tunneling in. And they like to build a bunch of contingency plans. They don't like one escape route in case some trouble goes down. So it's not good enough for them to dig one tunnel from the outside in. So they dig a bunch all over the place. And the reason that's a problem is, after encountering minks and doing research on minks, mink are basically the size of like a long rat. Anywhere that a rat can fit, a mink can fit. And honestly, even this 1-inch hardware cloth up here, they could fit through. So the problem here is, with these existing rat tunnels, which at the time we're thinking, oh, it's just rats, just try to trap them. We're not thinking, well, at least I wasn't thinking, like, I'd come in and cover the tunnels out that they had dug in with dirt just so the chickens aren't like falling down them. I don't know. It was a silly idea because the chickens just dig anyway. But I would fill back in with dirt. They would dig it back up because it's just dirt. And I never thought, oh, this is going to be a problem because, again, I'm just thinking, well, the only thing they could fit here is a rat or a mouse. No problem. We have to deal with it anyway. They're going to come here. Food source is always here. We get rid of some rats, more come. Some mice, more come. Not really a big deal. Well, since a mink can fit in the same size that rats can, lo and behold, a mink tunneled it through the tunnel that the rats had already put there, popped up in our run. And the problem with minks are, they may be the size of a rat, but unlike rats, they do kill chickens, and they actually are probably the most lethal predator that chickens could have. And I'll say that because something like a coyote or a fox is going to kill enough chickens that, or the amount of chickens that they want to eat, right? They're going to, they might get 1 or 2 chickens because they're going to eat the whole chicken and leave. Something like a mink, in one night, they could wipe out 20 chickens, because what they do is they attack their neck and like to drink their blood. And then if they do eat something, they'll eat the head. But essentially, they're not eating the whole chicken, so they don't become full. And so they'll kill as many chickens as they can, and they'll also come back and kill more. And so it's really a problem if they have access to chickens, because basically they will kill as many chickens as they have access to. And we have this coop here, which all of our original girls sleep in at night. And we have this coop here, which I built, that all of our newest girls, which are all of our bantams and then youngest batch from this year, can sleep in at night. And I'm saying can because this is another thing. So when you get chickens and you're building their coop, it is commonly recommended that the roost bars that the chickens sleep in be the highest thing that they can access, because at nighttime chickens will naturally want to sleep at the highest possible place, because going back in their history they used to live in the jungle and they would go to sleep up in trees, so they feel the safest the higher they are up. So if you want chickens to sleep in your coop, you want to make the roost bars in the coop higher than anything they can access inside of the run. So naturally at night, they go into the coop to sleep versus staying in the run to sleep, which we followed that principle with this coop when we built our first original girls. So this is the outhouse that we converted, but we put the roost bars in, and you can see the roost bars are here, which are slightly higher than this last roost bar here, which we never had problems with our original girls going in here to sleep at night. Now, when we built this extension, we wanted to make it really fun, and hence this problem is we wanted to make it fun, not really functional. So we decided to make it as fun as possible. So we built this jungle gym with natural branches and 2x4s, and as you can see, it goes all the way up there, which you could probably already guess the problem. The highest roosts over here are at the roof line of this coop, which means they are significantly higher than the roost bars inside of the coop. So ever since we introduced this new run and these girls to the outside, they've wanted to sleep in what we call the jungle gym, because they want to sleep at the top, which for a couple months we would come out here and put them one by one into the coop. And eventually once, and this is like when they first got out here was late fall, like around maybe this time, either last year or the year before. And so we would come out when it was cold, because we were like, we don't want them to freeze to death. They're just out here in the run. Let's put them in the coop, try to keep each other warm. So we go one by one, hand do them. And this was every night. And then eventually when it became warm again, we were like, what are we doing? We're wasting, like, we're spending every night. We have to go out there, put them in the coop. Like, we built that run. We spent so much time, so much money on this run to make it as secure as possible. What are we doing? And so we're like, okay, if they really want to sleep out there, let's let them sleep out there. Because we thought we could take down these roost bars and like lower it so that the highest bar isn't higher than the bars in the coop. But then we're like, yeah, but that's taking away from the fun that they have. Again, we're just thinking fun, not functional. And so we didn't. We were just like, okay, they can sleep up here, not a problem. Let them sleep up there every night. Again, no problems. This is 3 years in, never had a predator issue. The ones that we've had haven't even been able to get within a couple feet of the chicken. So we're thinking no problems at all. Well, then our silkies, as silkies do, decided to become broody. So we had, let's talk about the broody. So Dorothea, our splash silkie, was broody right here in this corner behind this door right here. And then the nest box that is here was right here against that piece of wood. So right underneath there was a nice little pocket to become broody. So Figgy Pudding, our cuckoo silkie, was broody right there. And so basically they would sit there all day, all night, trying to hatch out non-existent eggs because they didn't even have eggs underneath them. But they're just being silkies, being happy, being broody, trying to hatch out eggs that didn't exist. And then our last silkie, because silkies are silkies, and if you're not familiar, it means basically they have like what almost looks kind of like feathers instead of fur, but they don't have flat feathers. So unlike all of our other girls out here that have normal feathers, they weren't able to basically, not that chickens really fly, but like they're able to glide a little bit and propel themselves a little bit. But silkies don't have any of that, because when they go to flap, the wind just goes through their feathers. I'm saying that because all of our normal feathered girls were able to make their way all the way to the top of here, and they would sleep as high as possible. Now our silkies never made it past this bar right here. Occasionally they may make it to this one, but they never made it to these highest ones. And Velma, our buff silkie, this was her favorite sleeping spot right here, right by the front door every single night. So you could probably guess where this is going and how this happened. Basically, at night, we wouldn't put them in the coop because, like I said, they love sleeping out here. Never been a problem, no issues. So the night last week, what happened is the mink came through the old rat tunnels, popped up in the run, sees one silkie, so the rat tunnels were back here around that coop, sees one silkie here, easy work, bites it in the neck, she's done, comes over to here, bites the other silkie that's down here, and then when we saw it on the camera, it was from the ground, jumping and trying to grab our third silkie that was on this bar. So, I don't know, so you can see height-wise, but it's about 4.5, 5 feet. I'm not that tall. I'm like 5'9", 5'10", so, you know, about around 5 feet. Let's call it 5 feet up. And it's jumping from the ground up there trying to grab it. By the time we made our way from upstairs out, it had grabbed her, dragged her, and had killed her next to Figgy Pudding over here. So they had all 3 silkies gone. The rest of the girls that were up here on these higher ones didn't get got because it just hadn't made its way up there. Because, as we have learned from our research with minks, they're kind of like a insane combination of conglomerate of all of the worst characteristics that you can imagine for a predator of a chicken. Because one, they're super small, they can fit into anything, so like any gaps need to be super small, super tiny to fill it up so they can't get in. 2, they'll kill way more than they can eat, so they'll just wipe out an entire flock if they can. 3, they are excellent climbers, so chickens think they're safe up high, doesn't really matter. They can climb up, get to those chickens no matter how high they are. And then 3, they're excellent swimmers too. Like, as a random fun fact, like, they love to fish and eat fish and stuff like that. So even if chickens were like surrounded by a moat or something, they'd still be able to get in. So it's just like they have all these random skills and then just have the desire to kill way more than they can eat. So it's awful. Anyway, got the 3 silkies from the rat tunnels, and then we came out that night, scared it off, at least momentarily, and then went and grabbed all of the girls that were still up on the jungle gym and put them locked into this coop, which is super secure. And the rest of that night, we were watching the cameras, and we proceeded to see it come back multiple times over and over and do laps in here, trying to figure out how it can get in and try to get to more chickens, even though it already had the 3. And at that time, like I said, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, so we put the chickens up, but we didn't take care of the chickens that it had gotten to, because we were trying to still reeling, trying to figure out what we're gonna do. And since it's winter, it gets light around 6:30, 7 o'clock. So for about 2 hours or so, while it was still dark, we hadn't come out here and taken care of that. But as soon as it got light, we took care of them. But as soon as it got light, we were out here, and we saw on the camera right before we came out that it had dragged Dorothea from there all the way around the back side of this coop and into this back corner over here, because that's where the main tunnel was back here. And it was trying to, I don't know why, Dorothea wouldn't have fit down the tunnel that it fit down, but it thought that it might. And so when I got here, I had a shovel in my hand, and it was right around here at the back of the tunnel, and I missed it with a shovel by about that much, and obviously scared it away. I wish I would have got it, but at that time, a shovel was my only recourse. So missed it, it ran away. I was able to get Dorothea, and we got Dorothea and Velma and Figgy, and buried them in the chicken yard here, out in the run, or out in the chicken yard outside, right here underneath this tree. So those are the first 3 that we lost to predators. We lost one before as well to sickness, and she's buried on the other side of the tree. So this is kind of our like a little chicken graveyard. They get to forever live in the place that they love outside. So buried all of them. And then the next night we were watching on the cameras, and that day, well, I should back up. Yeah. So that day we were reeling because obviously this first predator attack, we didn't really know what to think or what happened. So we started doing Googling, trying to figure out, at least first confirming what the predator was, because once I saw it face to face, I knew exactly what it looked like because we saw it on the camera too, but just for sure confirming, just trying to learn what its habits were, what it liked, what would attract it, things like that. And so I built a couple boxes because I found online that minks are like in the weasel family. So these are called weasel boxes. So essentially it's just a box that's big enough to fit a rat trap and then have some sort of bait, which that's mackerel in there. And then we have another one of these boxes that has what I put in it, sardines, because we found that mink like fish, so thought that would work. We had a couple of those boxes, and we were finding where it tunneled in, which this is again everything I've already explained was stuff that I had to figure out on the fly about like where it was coming in, and figuring out that it was coming from the rats, where exactly all those came in. So there's the other box here, and so I built those boxes and put them out the next night, so the night after the attack happened, and we watched on camera, and the mink kept coming in here, and all the girls were secure because we were putting in there every night. They were secure in both the coops, but the mink was coming in, doing circles, climbing on this branch that Velma was on, looking over, trying to figure out how to get in here, walking up the plank, walking up to the door, doing circles in here, basically bypassing the traps. So that was, let's call it night 2, night after the attack, night 2. And then so that next day we went out to a hunting supply store and bought actual metal traps. So you may have been able to see it before when I was showing this groundhog hole, but we have these, it's like professional trapper traps, rated for mink. And so it's a walk-through trap. I have the fence on, so I don't really want to climb over it. Maybe this one is a little closer. But essentially, if a mink tries to go through and just walk through the tunnel, it'll trigger the trap and it will get got. And then we baited them with mink lure. It's, I don't know, professional mink lure. It's just like a liquid substance. We dipped a Q-tip in there, put it right next to the traps, all the traps. So we have one here, which is tunnel going in, tunnel coming out of here, and then on the tree roots over here where the tunnel comes out, there's a third one of those walk-through traps. So we got those professional traps there. And then the 2 boxes that we built, we're leaving those out, even though they haven't been successful yet, but fingers crossed that they would be. And then we also got one of these step-on traps. So it looks like that. So they step on the middle, and then those clamps come and close around it. So that one we have been putting inside the chicken run at night. And so what we did, if I can close this door. 1 second. All right, so what we did is we have this door, which was the original external door, and then now it's kind of the throughway door. Now that we have the second part of the run, is we've been closing it so it's almost closed, so like about there, putting the trap here, so that if something does come in here at night, if it wants to walk from the big section to this new section, it has to walk through that gap way in the door and step right on that trap. So we have a total of 6 different traps and different places to catch the mink. So we bought all of those. That was day 3. We're about a week now. So far, the mink came back on night 2, and we haven't seen it since. So that's almost a week now that we haven't seen any signs of it. And the only thing we caught in a trap, funny enough, is a rat. So they do work, just haven't worked on a mink. And we are putting the girls to bed every night, keeping them super safe. We've been checking the cameras all day, all night, making sure they're safe. And then the last thing we did, and this is probably the most important thing we did, is we dug up around the whole backside of the run. And I wish I would have taken a video of this, because I'm not going to dig it out again. But that entire backside, around the corner here, down this way, down here, and this whole side. Basically everywhere where we've had, over the course of a year and a half, seen rat tunnels digging in and out of here at all. We dug all of that up and filled it in with concrete. It ended up being, you can kind of see right there, it kind of looks like dirt, but that's concrete over that tunnel. We dug about probably 6 inches from the wood. So there's wood around the bottom, and then we dug underneath that. So basically, I'll see if I can show a better example of this outside, but we dug down everywhere that the rats were and basically filled in all of their tunnels so that there is no way of digging in or out through the same tunnels that they were using. So blocked up all the tunnels with concrete, which a mink and a rat is not going to want to dig through. And then we also filled in the rest of the areas over here with concrete that they hadn't dug through. So if they do decide to start digging tunnels again, one, they're going to have to go way out of their way, because none of the sides that they're normally used to using that are near this hole are able to be dug through. And then 2, we have been paying attention every day we come out here and seeing if there are any new tunnels, where they're coming from, and if they're coming underneath, and monitoring that, which so far we haven't seen any, which is a good sign. The only tunnels that we have seen are from underneath the big girl coop, because there is, I'm pretty sure rats live underneath there, because they keep popping up, and we did catch that one rat with the trap after we did the concrete, but there is no evidence of them coming from the outside in. They're just the ones that live in there. That unfortunately we haven't trapped all of them yet. But so you can see here's wood that is the bottom support for the actual run itself, and then all the way down here, this is all concrete that we filled in, and it goes below that as well. So essentially we tried our best to take away any access points that the rats had been using, or hopefully in the future will be using, because if we can stop the rats from digging from the outside, we can also stop the mink from digging from the outside, because like I said before, anywhere a rat can fit, so can a mink. And that took I think 400 pounds of concrete to do all of that, but we were able to do that this past weekend, and we still aren't back to our normal even keel, everybody's going to be safe and secure all the time. We're still very stressed about it until we catch the mink itself, which there's at this point 1 of 2 theories, because like I said, we haven't seen it for about a week. So or I guess 3 theories. 1, it just moved on to new territory, which from what I read online isn't like a mink. If it knows that it has a food source, it'll keep coming back until it can't do anything. And so it did come back one night and not get anything else. But again, I don't think that would be the end of it. The second one would be that it's dead somewhere. So either some other predator got it, or the other thing, because of the rats, which knocked my glasses off, but some people may frown upon this, but you know, do what you are comfortable with, what you feel okay with. We had been sticking rat poison down these holes, right here and here, like down the holes, so that our animals couldn't get to them, whether they be chickens or dogs. Sticking rat poison down those holes, and I don't know that a mink would directly eat that poison because they're carnivores, and the poison, the way it works is it attracts rodents because it's like sweet and like grainy. So I don't know if a mink would eat that poison, but if it did, it would also kill a mink. And but the other thing that could have happened is mice and or rats could eat that poison, they could die, and then a mink could eat it and then also die. So potentially there's a dead mink down in those tunnels somewhere, which would be good. However, also doesn't really give us any closure because we have no way of knowing if that's the case. And then the third one is it's gonna be back. It's just making its rounds, and it's been about a week, and maybe it doesn't circle this part of its territory again for a couple weeks, which in that case, we have all those traps set. We're going to keep baiting them with lure. We'll keep placing the trap in here every night. Keep locking these girls up. That's the most important thing at night. And keep them as safe as possible, because it's never fun to lose chickens, and it's definitely never fun to have to learn lessons from losing them. Because like I said, the amount of time, energy, and effort that we put into this run, we thought we had done everything over the top, but there's always something you don't think of. And like I said, with mink in particular, they are so small and they get fit through something so small that you have to make sure that you cross every T and dot every I the best possible way that you can, explore every avenue. And unfortunately for us, what we thought were just innocuous rat tunnels not causing any problem with the chickens turned into devastating blow. And we're gonna miss all three of those silkies. It was all of our silkies. We only had 3, so they're completely gone. The only bright side is they all died doing what they love. The 2 were broody, doing broody things like silkies love, and then Velma, the last one, was sleeping on her favorite spot that night, so like she did every night. So that's the only bright side. And then also the 3 silkies were the best friends of all the silkies. They got along with each other more than like pretty much every other bird. So everybody else in the flock, this is the crazy thing, like all the other 24 of them just came on business like usual. I mean, the girls are kind of confused why we keep putting them up at night. And then the other girls, they just want to be let out and hang out and just keep doing chicken things. Like nobody's really skipped a beat. It's really us humans that kind of take on the burden of maybe we could have done something else or should have done something else or could have saved them, but hopefully we gave them the best life that we could have and that they enjoyed. And it's really a bummer, but hopefully the lessons that we learned from these group of girls, we've already made improvements, and we'll continue to make improvements if we discover that more need to be made, and continue to monitor the situation. But if any of this, it's been a long rambling video, but if any of this helped, let me know. If you have any questions or suggestions for other people, if you're seeing this and you're thinking, oh, maybe we can do something else, drop that below as well. Love to help out anyone we can, because like I said, it's a real bummer situation, and it's taken a week and a half to be able to even make this video and talk about it. So anyways, like I said, we'll be back next week with our normal ranking videos. So thanks for sticking around if you're here to this point. And until next time, from all the girls in here, stay perfect.